welcome everyone. It's 1:30 and while people are still joining us, I wanted to just say hello. Oh, Jean's on video. Hi, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
With the new Zoom password that we're using to hopefully prevent any sort of unwanted visitors out to do us harm, you might notice me sometimes being distracted because I have to let people in, like there's a doorbell and I go and answer it. But I just want to say in the meantime, I'm so glad everyone's here and welcome to our authors. And I'll just start in with some of the Zoom housekeeping, just in case anybody doesn't already know. I know most of us have been using it 24/7 right now. But for I think we're all on, yeah, you're all logged in by the computer. So if any of you who are logged in by the computer want to participate, we really welcome that. And to do that, you can either unmute yourselves and just jump in, you know, it's a small group, or if you want to be formal, if you hover your mouse down where it says participants at the bottom of the screen, and if you click on that, it opens up a panel. And in that panel, you'll see at the bottom, it'll say raise hand. Everybody see that? So you can also do that, and I'll try. Oh, Jean, I love that. Look at that. Way to demonstrate. Did you have a question, or you just wanted to help us out?
I was just demonstrating.
I love that. Thank you. So yeah, so you can either do that, and I'll try to keep an eye on that, or again, it's a small group. You just unmute yourself. Everybody know how to unmute yourselves. There's a little microphone icon in the lower left. You just click on that and that will unmute you. And thank you all. We really appreciate it. I know you're all muted right now, which is really great because that leaves a nice clear line for all of the authors to share. Oh, I have people in the waiting to get in. They're knocking on the door. Let's let them in and then we'll get started. Hi, Judy. Welcome. Judy, we were just going over some of the logistics of unmuting and sharing if you want to talk, welcoming people to jump in anytime you want. You'll see there's going to be kind of a little bit of a formal way that we go about the beginning of the call, but then we'll sort of open it up and everybody can join in anytime they want. And yeah, does anybody have any questions before we begin? Great. All right. Well, I'm Sherry Reichert-Bellew, and I am author of Say It Now, and I love the Mango community. And so Brenda and I had just been brainstorming. Oh, sorry, there's Brenda. Let's get her in here.
Oh, definitely.
Since I'm talking about her. Let's see if she's, there you are, Brenda. Hello. We were just talking about you. Isn't that nice to enter a room and people were speaking kindly of you? So I was just saying that Brenda and I had been talking about just ways to bring the wisdom of this community out into the world a little bit more, especially this, you know, during this time that so many of the Mango authors just have such beautiful wisdom and so much that can support people right now. And so hence we decided to do these weekly author panels. And so good time for me to welcome Elise and Nita and Allan. Thank you guys so much for being here. And why don't we go ahead and just start off. Jean, I love your enthusiasm. You're so great. Can you come on all my calls? You're just awesome. So why don't we start with Nita, since you're right up here to my left. Will you introduce yourself by telling us your name and what your book is, where you live, and then also if you'd share how you've been taking care of yourself during this time.
I'd be glad to. Thank you. First, thank you for including me in the panel. My name is Nita Sweeney, and I'm the author of Depression Hates a Moving Target, How Running with My Dog Brought Me Back from the Brink, and also a new writing journal we've got coming out in June, actually with Brenda Knight, called You Should Be Writing. So that's available for pre-order already. Oh, there's Brenda. Yay, I can see her now. Yay. Pretty excited about that. But my experience right now with the COVID-19 and the whole stay at home is a little bit different because my husband got out of the hospital March 26th, and I keep using the hashtag accidental home health aid because he is on a feeding tube and requires care, not quite round the clock now, but it's a little different. So we're almost in a little bubble that's a little bit different. And every once in a while, the actual stay at home coronavirus vibe, reality will come in. And I've been using two things. One is mindfulness meditation, which I've practiced for many, many years. And then the other is movement, because those are the things I talk about. I've been doing some journaling too, to just like write down details. But I'm very, very grateful that I had skills that I had honed from years of meditation, because I see people freaking out because they don't, I mean, this is new. We've never had this in 200 years. So I'm really grateful, but mindfulness and movement, and then not actual productive writing, but just capturing the details, which I may want to experience later.
Wow. Nita, thank you. I mean, a special thank you to you for joining us in the midst of everything that is going on for you in your life. It means a lot to have you here.
It felt really, really good to be able to give something back, because it feels very much like I'm kind of taking like, all these offers right now. So this was a great opportunity, and the timing was good. He's sound asleep in the other room. We're good. So thank you.
Yeah. And I just wanted to underscore what you said. Beautiful reminders about meditation and movement right now. So thank you for that. So Allan, I see you right underneath Nita, the way that my squares are. Why don't you share with us about you and your book and how you're taking care of yourself right now?
Okay, so I'm Allan Klein. One of my books, one of the most recent, is the Lighten Up Book. And the subtitle is Affirmations and Insights to Inspire Health and Happiness. And the way I'm taking care of myself is two wonderful things, because I need to stay indoors. Is one, my daughter lives in San Francisco, where I am, and we usually talk once or twice a week. We now talk every single day. And it's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. We cheer each other's up. We sometimes little stupid things like, what are you having for dinner? But it's just great to chat with her every day. And the other, because I'm not walking my dog the major walk of the day, I take her down to the garden. She loves the garden. I get to get some exercise. I get fresh air, and the weeds are being pulled. I planted vegetables the other day. The garden is starting to look really great, which would not have happened had I been out taking her in the streets walking. So lots of positive things that are actually happening because of the shelter in place.
Wow, Allan, that's so great. I love what you said. These new ways of connecting with your daughter because of this, and being in the garden with your dog and what's happening because of that. It's really beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Yeah. And Elise, do you go by Elise or Elise Marie?
I go by Elise. It's fine. I always just put my author name as Elise Marie, because there's actually a lot of Elise Collins. There's an astronaut named Elise Collins.
Oh, all right. Well, welcome to you too. And will you tell us a little bit about yourself, your book, and how you're taking care of yourself?
Thank you. My book is Super Ager. And when I first started writing the book, I didn't really know what a super ager was. I just knew that I wanted to be one, and I wanted to find out how. So I found out all the details, and I've continued, I'll say the name of the book. I've continued to research aging, and I'm now getting a master's in gerontology. I'm graduating in May, without a ceremony, mind you. Thank you. Yeah. I think I'm just going to I'm going to do a speech online and pretend I'm the valedictorian, because we will graduate sometime, but I don't know. I just feel like doing something silly like that. So you can look for my social media for my speech. So my book, I'll say the full title, it's Super Ager. Sometimes I cannot say all this. So just so you know, don't think you have to remember this. You can look younger, have more energy, a better memory, and live a long and healthy life.
Oh, yay. I love that. I'm coming to your graduation when you do your speech, by the way. I love that.
Okay, I'm going to formally announce it. It'll be in May. Thank you. Okay, you guys are you're on the guest list. Maybe we'll have a Zoom graduation just for Elise. We'll have a graduation party and
Yes,
yeah, that sounds good,
there.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So Elise, how are you taking care of yourself right now?
Well, I am taking care of myself by walking my dog. I'm not going to disturb her because she'll probably yell, but some of you saw her. I may bring her up again. I take care of her. She gets me out every day walking. And I've been incredibly busy. I'm a yoga teacher and all my classes have moved to my living room. And believe it or not, that takes a lot of energy. I mean, it takes energy to go to the studios that I used to teach at, but now I have to make sure people know where to go online to find me and make sure I've got the camera right. It's been a learning curve, make sure everything's set, just like we were doing here on the Zoom conference. I'm talking to friends. I see some of them here. Like Jean, she helped me. She's got a little blurb in the book because she helped me when I was going crazy writing the book. I'd be like, help. She's also a great editor if anyone needs an editor. And just being in nature, luckily the parks are closed where I live, but there is some trees outside and just noticing the sky is so beautiful and clear. And just trying to connect to that vitality in nature. That's been really important. And decluttering, taking care of my parents. I mean, they don't need a lot of care. They're probably here. I don't know if they can hear me, but they're like, oh, we don't need you. But I do try to help them. Helping my mom declutter. Yeah, they pretty much can fend for themselves, but it's nice to help them out, like get on a ladder. I helped my mom on a ladder yesterday, so.
Yeah. Oh, that's so wonderful. I love that you're teaching yoga. I mean, I imagine that that's both taking care of you, but obviously you're also taking care of a lot of other people at the same time. So yeah. And decluttering, that's a great thing to be doing. Sorry, I'm just letting Robin in. See if I can. I'm sorry about that, you guys. I'm just having trouble getting Robin in and I wanted her to be able to.
Can I ask Elise a question while you're letting Robin in?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, there she is. Yay. Yeah, please jump right in.
Well, I was gonna, Elise, over the weekend, I read in the news that, if people breathe shallowly and are bad breathers, that was the language they used, that makes them more susceptible to the virus. And then after I read that, I found myself breathing shallowly and I was like, oh my God, I'm a bad breather. So I wondered if, since you're a yogini and wellness woman, I wondered if you could sort of talk to us about how to breathe through fear.
Good question. I pretty much do that in every yoga class. Really the best way is to emphasize the exhalation. When you are in sympathetic, you guys know about the nervous system, there's parasympathetic, rest and digest, the calming part of the nervous system. We want to activate that when we're in distress. And sympathetic is when we're, that's happening to us a lot, reading the news. I mean, you cannot not be stimulated by the news. So you want to emphasize the exhalation. That's the simplest thing. I'd say just, even if you notice your exhalation is challenged, like sometimes when you are really nervous, it'll be hard to exhale. That's a sign that you're in that activated nervous system. You're in sympathetic response. But even if you could just pay attention to the exhalation and maybe think about what you want to let go of. If you're feeling anxious, you could just be like, I'm breathing out anxiety. And I give the emotion a color, like maybe the anxiety is red and I breathe it out. And then I think of what I want to replace it with. I'm going to breathe that in, like green peace. I could keep going on, but I don't want to take up the whole thing. I'll leave information on my yoga classes. I seriously start with a meditation where we do that for like 5 or 10 minutes. You can lengthen the exhalation by counting or just taking a longer exhalation, but the exhalation is where it's at right now.
Yeah. I know you're very busy, but at some point I think a breath book, like a breath work book, is needed.
Okay.
Okay.
I love
Simple
what,
breath work.
May I jump in for one moment?
yeah, can you hold on one second? I just wanted to read
Sure.
what Robin wrote because it's so beautiful, and then we'll go right to you, Allan. She said, I sometimes say, I'm breathing in what I can control and breathing out what I can't. Love that.
Great.
Yeah, Allan, what were you going to
Well,
say?
I wanted to jump in because one of the things, I'm the world's only jollytologist and been teaching therapeutic humor and laughter for many years. And one of the things about laughter is you need to breathe deeply. After you have a good hearty laugh, all that stale air goes out of your lungs and fresh air goes in your lungs. And you know, this is the time when a lot of people are stressed and they're closed and their muscles are tighter. So laughter right now is so important, and it doesn't have to be anything funny. You can just laugh.
I love that. Let's all take a moment and laugh.
Well, I've just taken a big breath of fresh air, and I didn't know about everyone else laughing, but it's a natural way to get your breath, as you were saying, Elise, deeper breath, not that shallow breath. And it's really healthy for your lungs. Perfect time for laughter.
I love it. And it's interesting because, well, my book is Say It Now, and it's 33 creative ways to say I love you to the most important people in your life. And one of the ways that I've really been taking care of myself this week is by connecting with my family, doing something funny. So I just wanted to share that because I think this is something, I don't know if any of this appeals to any of you, but the Getty Museum put out a call to people to recreate their paintings with things you have at home. And so I put out a little challenge to my family to say, like, come on, who's in with me, who wants to do this? And so far only 3 of us have done it, but I'm still egging them on. But it was so fun for those of us who did do it. You know, we were texting and sharing our photos. And so I love that it kind of combined both getting to connect with people I love and doing it in a way that it was just fun. It was just silly, you know? So that was a great self-care for me this week. So I would love to invite our authors to, I know you all gave a little bit of thought about being here and sharing what you wanted to share from your book. And so why don't we go around and have you guys just, you know, whatever you wanted to share right now that you think might be supportive for people. Nita, why don't we start with you?
Glad to start. I was thinking about making tiny goals because I know that I'm not alone in feeling very overwhelmed a lot of the time. I think a lot of people are. And it's very interesting because there's been a few, I don't want to quite call them guilt trips, but you know, if you're not using this time to learn a new language, or you know, if you don't come out of here with a side hustle, and I just want to roll my eyes, because even if I didn't have the extra layer, this would be anxiety producing for anybody, you know. So yes, we may not have the drive to work, we may not have these other things, but for me, it's like there's this little extra computer program, you know, taking all the RAM. It's like sucking the RAM, and so I'm doing a lot of just kind of lowering my expectations and cheering myself on for the tiny little things. So choosing the smallest goal. And the way that relates to my book is when I started running, I mean, it was for 60 seconds. I mean, I couldn't even do it in public. I had to go down to this hidden ravine, and I had to take my dog for emotional support. So, I'm sort of used to that. And then from there, over time, I gradually build up a tolerance to the things. And so I think I have to start really, really small and continue not to not do things, but to celebrate every little thing that I am able to do under these extraordinary circumstances, and continue to cheer, you know, people who get a shower, people who get dressed, you know, who actually use like hair dryers as opposed to just letting, you know, whatever. but whatever. Yeah, Allan, never mind. Sorry. Yeah, I know. Sweetheart. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like, just choose a goal so small that you cannot fail, because that will build. That's been my experience. It will build. And so that's kind of the thing that I just really wanted to make sure I said out loud to other people. I've been saying it to myself and some of my close friends. But yeah, that was one of the points I wanted to make today. So thanks for asking.
Oh, Nita, thank you. Thank you. What a really important point to bring in, because I loved that about your book too. And I actually went out and ran for 60 seconds thanks to you, because I told you I'm not a runner. But I think you're so right. And I was just talking to someone yesterday about meditating for 1 minute, and letting ourselves have those tiny goals. So like you said too, then it's like we can celebrate having actually reached those goals, and it feels really good. So I so appreciate that. And I appreciate that you're always bringing such compassion, that comes through so clearly in your book too. Just, you have such a great heart for supporting people that way. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Allan, yeah.
So I'd like to share a quote from my book.
Okay.
And then share something I did that really was amazing to me, and I think a lot of other people, and would be very beneficial at this time. So this quote is from Ed Sullivan, and I used to actually work for Ed Sullivan when I was a scenic designer at CBS television. So the Ed Sullivan Show. So he once said, "If you do a good job for others, you heal yourself at the same time, because a dose of joy is a spiritual cure. It transcends all barriers." And what I did a couple of years ago is I decided January 1st, I would send an email to one person every day that year, and I would tell them what a difference they made in my life. And a couple of things happened. First of all, near the end of the year, I started to get nervous that I was going to run out of people. And the fact was, not only didn't that happen, but by the end of the year, I still had a bunch of people I had not sent an email to. And the thing is, it was so easy because it was really a stock email, but then I would put in exactly, what they meant to me, how they changed my life, how they made my life more joyous. And what happened was very interesting, because I wasn't expecting this. A lot of people, a couple of things happened. One was, some people emailed back and said, "Allan, how do you know I was going through such a down time, and that your email just totally changed my day, my week, my month?" And the other thing that happened, I wasn't really doing it for this reason, but a lot of people emailed back and said how much I meant to them in their life and how I made a difference in their life. And so it was a very wonderful kind of connecting with other people. And because we're all like quarantined or staying in place or not going out or seeing other people in person, I thought this might be a good time to start that practice. And just once a day, send an email, a letter, whatever, if they don't have email, just telling other people how much they meant in your life. Because we often don't say that to other people. And so that would be one of my little tips for people in this crisis during the virus time.
Allan, thank you. Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful reminder, and also that offering of a practice like that. I scribbled down to myself, interview Allan, because I love collecting stories, right, of how people say it now. And that is so beautiful. And, the response that you get from that. And I love that, that offering too to people to try this practice now, right? Like, this might be a great time. And we've talked on the previous panels about sending letters. So it could also be, maybe you're someone who loves to do it via mail, versus doing an email or voice note, but that reaching out, wow, thank you for bringing that up. It's so important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's not copyrighted, so anybody that wants to do it on a daily basis, go right ahead. And it reminds me that I need to start that practice again.
Yeah.
So thank you for that reminder for me. Appreciate
I
it.
love it. I love it. And wow, you know, especially right now, I mean, all the time, but especially right now when people are feeling scared and kind of a lot of people have lost their footing, it does mean so much for people to be able to hear not only that we love them, but why we love them, you know, specific reasons that they've had an impact on our life. And I'm so happy you brought that in. Thank you. Elise, how about you? What would you like to share with everybody right now?
Yeah, I love the tips so far. They've all been great. And I'm also taking notes. I'm going to do these things. What I wanted to share is something I've actually been studying in my master's degree program, but my own perspective on it. So I've been taking the sociology of aging, and we've learned about the life course. And one of the most important theories or ways to think about the life course is called life course theory. And how that ties in with us. Right now, we're going through this incredible, unprecedented time in history. And the life course theory actually came from the Depression, because people realize we're not just a life, you know, most of how we learn about life is like biology, like, oh, you're an embryo, then you're a baby, then you're a child, then you're a teenager, but we don't exist in a vacuum. Our lives are linked to whoever we're living with, or if we're living alone, whoever we're talking to on the phone, what our jobs, what our circumstances. So I just want everyone to think about what your circumstances are right now. And that's going to change clearly, but this can be an ongoing journaling or meditation. What are your circumstances right now in the life course? Because we're all being shaken up by history. And our geography and all these things that we know when we look back on our life, we know we're never going to forget this. So think about all the circumstances, and it's not to make you, it's to be gentle on yourself. It's to be kind to yourself. And then think about maybe looking back 10, 20, maybe you're going to live to, I don't know, some people want to live to 300. I'm not going to probably be here for that long, but you're looking back and you're going to think about how you use this time, because this is a pivoting time. And again, it's not to force yourself, I got to learn 3 languages and all this. Maybe it's to be more gentle on ourselves, because a lot of us, I'm noticing I need to be easier on myself because I'm doing a lot. I need to rest more. I need to take care of myself. But that's why I started decluttering, because I was just getting this message in my meditations. This is a great time to do all those things that you haven't had time for. And I literally feel like I'm reorganizing my life. I want to take advantage of the opportunities. There's going to be opportunities and disadvantages. Those are always there in the life course. So meditating and thinking about how can we take care of these, how can we take advantage of these opportunities, even if they're very small. And the very small ones are often the most potent ones. That's why I love Nita's small goals idea. And also the writing letters. Maybe these are resonating with you, and you'll look back 10 or 20 years and you'll be like, I remember that time in 2020 when I started writing letters to, or writing emails or letters to people every day. You're going to remember that. You know, if it's like, oh, if it's just spinning your wheels, you're not going to remember that. So that would be the most important thing for me, is to have everyone have some kind of takeaway that comes from inside, not from what everyone's telling you. That will help, because something will strike you as like, oh, that's for me. You know, that's the thing I should be doing. But each one of us, I see 13, 14 people, 15 now people, and everybody's a little bit different. We're all in different stages, chronological age, and places. That's the thing I love about these Zoom conferences. I've just adored meeting all these people and seeing people I haven't seen in a long time, that they can all come to my class, where it would not happen if I was teaching locally in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Oh, Elise, that was so beautiful. And I really, the word that kept coming to mind when you were sharing just now is intentional. you know, that whatever it is, whether it's to be more gentle with ourselves or to allow ourselves more sleep and rest and take care of ourselves physically, or if it is to, for some people, it is to write that book that they've been wanting to write, you know, or declutter. I just saw Brenda just posted about that too, right? That's a way. But what you said was so beautiful about looking inside for yourself, you know, looking inside and to see for yourself, when I look back on this period, what am I going to feel good about? Or, you know, what am I going to remember about this time? And again, for me, it's just the word intentional. And I love that. Thank you for bringing that in. Yeah. I have been fortunate enough. I'm a certified high performance coach, and I have been interviewing other coaches as well as so many of the amazing Mango authors. And across the board, one of the things that everybody is saying right now is that point of reflection and letting this time be whatever is true for you. And I'm so glad that Elise brought that in, because it's true. There's so many voices, and I've been laughing to myself because I'll see one article that says, you know, this is the time, don't do anything. This is the time not to do anything. And then I see an article that's, this is the time to do everything you've ever wanted to do. And other people saying, you know, let yourself just sit on the couch and, you know, eat what you want. And it's so interesting to hear all the voices. And Elise just said that so clearly. What's true for you? You know, what's true for you? And I'm curious at this point if there's anybody else who's joined us, if anybody wants to jump in to the conversation. You can either just literally unmute yourself and join in, or officially raise your hand.
I'll join in. Hi, I'm Stacy. I love your book, Elise. I read it and I couldn't put it down. And I teach yoga and already live healthy, but I couldn't put it down. It was so good. I was reading it like in between teaching classes in Alameda by the water, and it was great. And I like your tips. I think, yes, be gentle. And if you need a rest on the couch, and you don't necessarily have to like right away be productive, because people are dealing with depression, anxiety, but I think you have to give yourself a limit, and not just, yes, I'm going to give in to this always, because no, we need to stay healthy, and it takes discipline. And I think you have to put a limit and then get up off your couch or do yoga on your couch, but do something to stay healthy in body and mind, because self-care and our health, if it's not there, does impact the greater good, because then we end up taking up, I'm really seeing our health, if we're not taking care in our food choices, then it takes up these hospital beds from people that might need it, right? So we're all connected, I'm realizing. So yes, depression and anxiety is real, and not to always put pressure. You have to be writing 10 books and creating a play and doing everything. No, maybe showering that day was a big thing, and that's great. But at the same time, I think you have to set that limit. Fine, I'm gonna lay on the couch and be lazy, or give in to the, I don't want to compare myself to others and not judge myself. But then it's like, wait, no, I need to get up and walk. I need to meditate. I need to eat my greens. I need to do what I have to, because if you're staying as healthy and peaceful as you can help people more. So I think it's like, put a limit to it, even though, yes, not to always try to be perfection. But so we do need a light of fire under us, because at this point, if you're not socializing and lost income, lost health, whatever's going on, I think you do need to be your own cheerleader. And your tips in Super Ager give you all of those ideas to be your own cheerleader and light the fire under yourself and say, fine, I'll sit for an hour or two on the couch and wallow, but then I'm going to get up and take that walk. And then you may be inspired, like, oh, now I feel better and I want to call my friend and say, hey, get up off your couch and walk, or do yoga with me or something. I think it's like a balance, right? Not just give in forever, but also not beat yourself up for the moments you can't be, doing your best in self-care. But then set a limit, because if our health goes down, you really don't want to go to the doctor now, right? You're trying not to get to the doctor office for your safety and not to bombard the doctor. So do everything we can do in our own personal power, from the Super Ager tips. That book has everything under the sun, from eating to exercise to not just aging well, but living well. So yeah, so good ideas for you all. So thank you. I hope that was.
Yeah, Stacy, thank you. I love that you brought in, the balance, and also that when we're taking care of ourselves, that's taking care of everybody. That was such a great point, and an important way for us to open up to, this isn't just about me, right? Like what you were saying about when we're healthy, that keeps us out of the medical system right now. So thank you.
Can I get one question to Elise?
Say that again.
Can I ask Elise the question?
Can we let, because Phyllis had her hand up and Allan did as well. So let me see what they have to say and then we'll circle back.
Okay, so I'm Phyllis in New York City, peaceful, quiet New York City. And now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, so relating to the Super Ager book. Now, if you're over a certain age and it's a low bar, 60, you know, you're supposed to stay home, you know, and there's no reason that we have to identify like that, that we have to say that our vitality is less because of a certain number of our age. You know, that we don't have to buy into that. That's number one. And, you know, so sometimes I go outside and I come back with a cough, you know, and there are things I can do for my energy that really help. You know, there are pressure points that I've learned, you know, that are good for your whatever, you know, meridians and, you know, such simple things. It's not even, I take a lot of vitamins, but it's not even that. You know, there's so many simple ways of just getting your energy revived and up and running. And one thing that I have to practice is kindness, because other people are under stress too, you know, and just remember that kindness can start with me, you know, that I can understand, you know, where somebody might be coming from. Like I talked to my brother today and, you know, yeah, you know, and then where sending out, I sent something on Facebook that said, kindness is contagious too. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh, thank you, Phyllis. Two really beautiful points in there, which were, you know, one is we get to define our own sense of vitality and health. And I love that. I love the empowering way that you talked about that for yourself. And then, of course, about kindness and that it starts with us. And then your beautiful point about that is contagious as well. So thank you. Thanks. And Allan, I know that you also wanted to share something about all this.
Right, I want, and it kind of dovetails into to empowering ourselves. I once had a wonderful guru, teacher, who said to want what you don't have is to waste what you do have. To want what you don't have is to waste what you do have. And I realize now a lot of people are concentrating on all the things they don't have. I can't go out of the house. You know, I'm not going to work. My kids aren't going to school. You know, whatever it is. But you could also concentrate on what you already have, or things maybe you have because you don't have the other. I just realized in my own life, I had a number of theater tickets and the shows were canceled. Well, now I'm finding all these theaters around the country, they have taped the shows and I could see it, I give them a donation, I could see it streaming. And there were theaters that I'd never be able to get to. So look for those positive things. And then the other, and this is, I think, a really big point, is being grateful for what you do have. That gratitude is such an important thing. And what I find in my own life, the more I'm grateful for things, the more things come into my life for which I am grateful. It's just like this, I was going to say vicious circle, but it's not it's a wonderful circle, right? It just keeps giving, you know, keeps on giving. Once I'm grateful for something, something else comes along to be grateful for. So like now I'm so grateful for this time because Brenda knows I'm writing another book and I have a May 31st deadline, and it seems quieter now somehow on the streets and stuff, and I don't hear the cars honking, and I can get deeper into my writing. So there's just like one little thing I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for these kind of interactions and that I could share my knowledge with people and hopefully it'll help at least one person. I'm grateful for learning stuff from all of you and other things that I'm learning online or reading about, or just, you know, it's always a time to be grateful. And so I encourage anyone listening, watching, to try at least to be grateful or write down 1 or 2 or 3 things you're grateful for right now, technology, that we could do this, that maybe you could chat with your grandkids, you know, on Facebook or whatever, any of the app programs. So there's so much to be grateful for in this difficult time, and let's not forget that.
Allan, thank you. Yes, I see that Jean has her hand raised, and I want to just say one thing before Jean, which is maybe we just take a moment right now, and thanks to Allan's beautiful encouragement, you know, just maybe close our eyes and just think of whatever drops in that we are grateful for, that we do have in our lives, and just let that sort of settle in for a moment. It might be our friends and family. It might be books that we have in our house. It might be time that we have to do things or reflect on things that we didn't have before. For me, I'm definitely so grateful. These author panels came out of this difficult period. And wow, has this been a beautiful thing for me every week. So yeah, so hey, Jean, what did you want to share?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for doing this, because I am totally inspired, and it's giving me just a lot of information for what I want to be doing in the near future. Like, it's such a great opportunity to hear from authors and to talk to this publishing company and see what you do, that there's a market for this. And then, yeah, I guess I will have a question for all the authors. I have been very, I think, shell-shocked by my family of origin, because I really went beyond the tribe. And now there's a lot of kind of shift happening. I'm actually sitting in a condo that my mother bought, and she's starting to be more supportive, but there's still a lot of the same type of challenge of her basically telling me what I should be doing, and that really knocking my confidence. So I have so much momentum. I'm doing a lot of spiritual practices, and I'm really wanting to use this time to move forward. But there's just a lot of emotion there, and maybe fear. Like, I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I understand that, you know, take it one step at a time and everything, but any other encouragement you can give me? I feel like this is such a pivotal time for the whole world to really take stock. And individually, I feel called to take, you know, real action to move myself forward, you know, using this time. And I just wondered if any of the authors have any particular input, advice, insight about how I can really make sure that I move forward.
I love that. And I'm going to go ahead and let Nita, I was just going to say Nita had her hand raised, and I thought, yeah, Nita, do you want to start everybody off?
Well, I can definitely speak to that. There's a lot of family history in my book, and I had to write it. I basically pretended everyone was dead. I mean, I just did. And I had to write the first draft as if no one was ever going to see it, because I felt if I didn't start there, I would censor myself into writing nothing. And I'm not a very efficient writer, but it feels that's my process. Now, someone who's more mentally focused, logically focused, brain focused, I'm a gut person. That person might need to outline, might need to do it that way. But having some kind of way to get over that fear, that was actually something I was going to talk about before the question came up. In meditation practice, a lot of what we do is just watch our thoughts. And so we don't need to push them away. We notice, oh, that's fear arising. And then we just watch it and try not to push it away. Because often, if we just let it be, it will pass. And so with the writing, I pretended everyone was dead. I set a timer, and I said, okay, I'm going to write for 20 minutes. And I do writing practice, which is that's a thing I've studied for many years, and I teach. And the timer goes off. I say go. I go for 20 minutes. When that bell rings, I'm done. And I can continue if I want. But having that structure of no judgment, let the thoughts pass, not needing to make them go away, just observing them, because observation actually changes things. You don't necessarily have to change things. Just by looking at them, they will transform on their own. They're already changing. We're not actually doing it.
Mhm.
And so, so that kind of structure really helped me. And, you know, I think the whole family thing is always sticky. It is. But getting the raw material down, whether that's a video, whether that's writing, whether that's you know, however that form is, art for you, getting that raw material down, so then you can go back later and see what you've got. That's what I had to do. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. I was wondering if Elise, you haven't had a chance to say anything for a little while. Did you have any thoughts on that as well?
What I thought was take a leadership position or do something where you help people, because I was thinking about this last night when I was in a meditation circle. Because I'm committed to teaching my yoga classes, I might not necessarily, like Stacy was saying, feel like getting off the couch or getting out of my own head, getting out of my thoughts about my family or whatever's going on in my brain about what's going on in the world. But because I have to teach other people, it's sort of, maybe it's similar, you know, it's similar to all these things have a sort of a detachment, like pretend your family's dead. I love that. Or pretend, you know, that it's 20 years later. But when I teach yoga, I have to think of my students, how they're feeling, how I can help them. And so it helps me to reframe everything that's going on within me and in the world. Because I can imagine, I know I have students that are nurses that are home with their kids. And so I have to get into this space of like, I got to serve people. So I think service and somehow, because you don't feel like it, you know, everybody that, I'm sure a lot of you guys are teachers too, you don't always, you know, it's not like, if I woke up in the morning and said, do I feel like teaching today? Probably 99% of the time I'd be like, I'll take the day off. But because I'm signed up for it, I've got to show up. So that showing up, there's something about that, that, yeah, helps me.
I just want to say thank you very much, and I'm going to have to leave.
Oh, thank you for being here.
It's been really helpful, and thank you, and
Come back again.
see you again. And thank you, Elise, for inviting me.
Aw.
Thank you, Phyllis. Thank you.
Elise, I really love that, as well as everything that Nita just shared. I think those are some great, great tips. And I just wanted to echo for myself too. Typically, I will commit to something that I have to show up for, you know, whatever it is. It might be an inkling of an idea, and I will put it out on social media, or I'll just say to people, I'm going to do this. And then the creativity follows, right? And the you know, it all follows. I'm just wondering, did anybody else have anything to share about that? Allan?
I do. So,
Yeah.
Jean, I just want to share from my own life. When I was growing up, 7 years old, I was taken to a Broadway theater. We lived in New York City. And from then on, I wanted to be a scenic designer. I wanted to make those pretty stage pictures. And my family was kind of totally against it. My dad, Jewish family, wanted me to be a doctor. You know, why don't you want to be a doctor? You know, over and over, you know, why are you doing that stupid theater stuff? You know, and I got into Yale Drama School, and long story, but I was kicked out, and then I actually got in the union, and I became a scenic designer for television. I did major television shows. And then my family started to be real proud of me, that look, you know, look, asking the neighbors to, you know, look at the credits, there's my son's name and stuff. But what I realized looking back, and what I've done all my life, is I trust my gut. And, you know, I just ask, you know, I sit quietly, I meditate, talk about meditation. And sometimes I'll just ask, you know, what is the right thing to do in this situation? And it's not that I, you know, dishonored my parents. It's just they didn't know, you know, they weren't me. They wanted me to be something I wasn't. I would be a terrible doctor. I'd probably think seeing the blood, you know. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So look at what you want to do and ask, is this the right thing for you at this time? And if it means that you don't listen to your mom or honor what she wants you to do, she's not the one that's doing it, I notice over and over in my life, people, like I wrote The Healing Power of Humor, my first book, and over, people would say, that's the book I wanted to write. That's what I wanted to do. How many people sat down and spent 8, 9 months, a year writing the book? No one. I did it. So other people can't tell you what you need to do. You need to find that out for yourself. And I find the truest way is to listen, sit quietly, listen to my inner self, ask myself, what is the right thing to do right now? Meditate on it. And I'll tell you, I always get the right answer.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. Allan, the whole time you were talking about that, I kept thinking, oh, thank goodness you followed that, right? Thank goodness. Like, look at who's here with us. And same, right? With Nita and Elise and the creative original books that you guys have brought into the world. And I was thinking also of that, the 5 regrets on the deathbed that we've probably all heard. One of them is, I wish I would have lived my life, Jean, has that been helpful? Did you want to say anything else?
That was totally helpful. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody else want to jump into this or start another conversation, ask a question for our authors?
It looks like we're coming closer to our end here. Yes?
Yes. What do you want to say?
So, and the world's only jollytologists. So I cannot not, we talked a little about laughter, but people say, the news is so terrible right now. What could I do? And one is not listen to so much of the news. I mean, once a day is probably enough, twice a day at the most. But also have some reminders around that, yes, the world is serious right now, but it's also doesn't have to be, and to look for the things that will help you to lighten up. So in my world, I have a couple of photos around that I love. Picture of my dog when she was a puppy.
Oh.
So just looking at that, I am lighten up. I lighten up just looking at that. Another photo I have right by my desk. My daughter, when she was a teenager, wanted a cream pie thrown in her face. And, now she's much older, but this was a glorious moment. She got off the camp bus and I threw a cream pie in her face. 40 of her friends around, but look at that joy. Look at that joy on her face. And so I just look at that and it brings me joy. And maybe it's only a few seconds, but it counteracts all of that negative stuff we have going on in the world right now. So I also, and I'm famous for this, is I believe, having a prop around. So if you're getting too serious, the news is too serious, have some of these around the house, put it on, look in the mirror, and it's hard to stay serious looking like this. So just some things that can brighten your day, lighten you up, and remind you to lighten up. So that's what I wanted to share before our time ran out.
Elise just wrote, I want Allan to be my second dad.
All right, no problem.
And Allan, I wanted you to know what I keep by my side. Yeah, I'm always got to be ready to celebrate whatever's happening, because you're right? We need, and it's the tiny little momentary things, right? It's like in this moment.
Right. I was watching, listening, and actually watching the Commonwealth Club yesterday. Dasher Keltner was on, and he's studies happiness, and he said these little things, you need these little things throughout your day, throughout your week. And he says because they will carry you through those bad times. And it doesn't have to be anything major, just some little thing that changes your whole outlook. Just for a couple of minutes every day, several times a day, and particularly now, we need this more than ever. And that his research is showing, we think it may be silly to put on this little nose, but research is showing that just those couple of minutes a day changes our whole physiology. And so it's we now more than ever is when we need to lighten up.
Thank you. Thank you. Nita, I see that you have your hand up. I'm going to just ask Elise something really quickly before we have you talk, which is, Elise, after Nita talks, would you take us out? Would you close out our call with some breathing? Could we do that?
Sure, yeah.
Awesome. That'd be awesome. Okay. Nita, what would you like to share?
When Allan was talking, it reminded me of two things that my meditation teacher often says. One is that we often take the wrong medicine. And so right now, the medicine we think we need is lots more news, lots more seriousness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, when maybe what we actually need is humor, or vice versa. But the other thing is that my husband and I have a saying, if it'll be funny later, why not laugh at it now? So yesterday, he has this, it's a tube in his tummy. I have to change the whole thing, and I have to put this, plug in there to get the food in. And it has a protective cap on it. And so yesterday, I forgot to take the protective cap on. I turned the machine on, went away. Neither of us realized it. 5 minutes later, we've got food all over the floor, blah, 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 blah. And we both were, kind of angry and scared and all this kind of stuff. And then we looked at each other and thought, well, if it's going to be funny later, we might as well laugh. And we just both started laughing, and we got it cleaned up. And, it was like, so I just wanted to share that.
I am so grateful that you shared that. What a wonderful piece of wisdom, and one that I've never heard before, but I love that. Yeah, if we're going to laugh about it later, why not laugh now? I love that, Nita. Thank you. Yeah. So we have just about 3 minutes, and I'd love for Elise to close out the call with some breathing, but I just thought, did anyone want to share anything before we do that?
Thank you.
Just that at some point, maybe the world's only jollytologist and Super Ager Elise can do a laughter and yoga class, and we smash it together and have like a breathing, laughing, toe down.
Totally. I actually have been doing laughter yoga with some professors and students in the social work department at USC in gerontology, but they asked me to do chair yoga, and they do laughter yoga. So I've been practicing a lot of laughter yoga too.
Right. Elise, I've been have to tell you this before we close. I think one of those plates on your wall is crooked.
Laugh about it now.
Yeah,
I was on a call. My plates were all crooked.
Oh, this is great. And the last thing I want to say before we do our wonderful breathing is thank you to those of you who are here from Mango Publishing for making this all possible, for, bringing us here and publishing our books and supporting us like what you do. And thank you to those of you who came to participate and who joined in, whether you shared or, were just here listening. It really makes a difference, your participation, knowing you're here, your energy, seeing your names here. Thank you so much. And I hope you'll come back next week. And thank you to our authors for everything you shared, all the great wisdom. This has been so beautiful and uplifting. And without further ado, let's have some breathing.
Okay. So let's just go ahead and feel where you're sitting. So you feel a release down, pressing your pelvis into your chair, and that will make your spine a little lighter. You can reach through the top of your head. You don't have to go into effort, but you want to feel that movement downward, and then the lift in your heart And let's also, if you'd like to, place one or both hands on your heart, since this is a heart wisdom author panel. If you want to connect a little more deeply to your heart as you breathe, you can place your hand or your hands on your heart. If that doesn't feel comfortable, just keep your hands by your side or on your lap. And then just take a nice full inhale. And then as you exhale, just exhale out and kind of slow that exhale down and notice the sensations of your breath. And you can continue following your inhale and your exhale, thinking of your breath as a connecting point to your body. If your mind wanders off, just bring your attention back to your breath and especially to the exhalation. And then imagine yourself in a beautiful bubble. Right where you're sitting, you're surrounded by a bubble. And I'd like you to fill this bubble with joy, since that seems appropriate for the heart. And imagine, what color is that joy? You may be able to see or perceive a color, or perhaps you can't quite see a color, but just know that there's a color around you and you're filled with this bubble of beautiful bright color. And this color represents your joy. So now you can start to breathe that in. You can feel sort of rising up as you breathe that in, a lift. And as you exhale, especially if you've been feeling any anxiety, just slowly exhale and let that joy displace anything that is blocking your joy, that is blocking maybe even the little things. And I like to use a color because that bypasses our thoughts. A color is a vibration. You might notice images arising, or you may notice, you could even imagine that joy is filling your entire body, every cell. And you might notice there's a particular area in your body that needs more joy right now. And you might also notice something leaving as you exhale, maybe a darker color or a heaviness. And just stay in that flow of inhaling in joy, your own brand of joy, because your joy is different than maybe who you're living with or who you talk to a lot or anyone else on this call. So acknowledge that you have that individuality, and it's nice to do this together in a group. So we have that support. That's the beauty of this, of a spiritual practice. The spirit knows no time or space. So we may not be in the same room, but we are all literally together in this moment in time. And feel that support of everybody. Everyone supporting your joy as you breathe it in. And see if that helps you release a little more deeply anything that keeps you from feeling joy. And simultaneously, sometimes we can feel joy and sadness at the same time. So it's not that you're pushing away any uncomfortable feelings, you're just allowing yourself to feel that joy and feel whatever is releasing, or whatever else you are experiencing simultaneously. And then you can just keep this color around you. Keep it around you, or if you want to let it go for now, you can let it go and bring it back. You can maybe jot down any ideas that came to you in this meditation. You can remember the color, or maybe it's going to shift. And then when you're ready, just kind of open your eyes, maybe stretch, signal to your body, blow your little horn, signal to your body that you can come back out of that sort of altered space of meditation. So thank you.
Elise, I know we kind of put you on the spot with that, but wow, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all
Thank you.
again. And I just wanted to remind everybody, we'll put a link where you can buy everybody's books and support Mango Publishing because they support all of us. So thank you. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Alan.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Alan, thank you.
Bye,
Oh.
yeah.